As a further application of the multiplication principle, let us count the number of permutations of a sequence containing distinct terms, like 1, 2, 3, n. Well, let us form a permutation a1, an of the sequence 1n. Well, we can do it in n steps. In the first step, we choose a1, we have n choices. Now, for each choice of the first element, we have n-1 choices for the second, and so on, up to the step n, where we have just one choice. Can you apply the multiplication principle? Well, from the final sequence a1, an, we know that a1 was chosen as step 1, a2 was chosen as step 2, an was chosen as step n. Whenever we have a sequence as a final result, we can apply the multiplication principle if the elements of the sequence correspond to the outcomes of the various steps. So in particular, the application of the multiplication principle gives us n times n minus 1 times 2 times 1 elements, possible permutations. This number is called the factorial of n. Now, the factorial of n is defined even when n is equal to 0 for convenience. The factorial of n is the product of the terms from n to 1 when n is greater or equal than 1, and it is equal to 1 when n is equal to 0. The factorial of n can be approximated in terms of exponentials and powers. More precisely, we have the Stirling formula, which says that the factorial of n is asymptotic to square root of 2 pi n times n to the n times e to minus n. E is the Euler number. This means that the quotient of the two sequences tends to 1 as n tends to plus infinity. So as an application, we can approximate the number of digits of the factorial of 100. Well, you know, the number of digits of a number equals the floor of the logarithm in the 10 basis of the number plus 1. So let us approximate the logarithm of the factorial of 100. Well, if we apply the rules of the logarithm, we get something like 157 point something. So the floor of the logarithm of 100 is 157. When we add 1, we obtain 158 digits. And actually, it turns out that the factorial of 100 has got 158 digits. The factorial grows very quickly.